All right. Hello, everyone. I am honestly so glad that I could get my video quality for these lives a lot better. I also hope that you can hear me. It looks like you can with my audio tested out. So that's good. I guess we'll see with the replay if everything's going well. But yeah, just let me know in the chat if you cannot hear me and I will adjust accordingly. But I'm super excited to be here with you guys just because well, actually, when was the last time that I went live? I think I went live back in October, maybe November. I know that my work schedule at the time was super stressful and it was just almost impossible to try to keep up my consistent lives with you guys while I was doing that job. So now that I'm here, it is exciting that I'm able to bring back lives to you guys at least 2 times per month, depending on just my workday and everything. And I decided to go live with you guys as well today just because I knew that there would be no getting a video out. I'm still preparing those, but also just to update you guys about where I'm heading with this channel because I've done so much contemplation, especially last year, and experimenting with what kind of content the YouTube algorithm likes, plus the content that I know is important to me, plus the content that I know is going to be important to you guys, but you may not know how important it is. We're gonna get into that in the live today. But anyways, I want to pull up my notes because there's kind of a lot to go over. So if you, I don't know how long you guys have been following me, feel free as well to write where you're coming from in the chat. It's just so I get like an orientation. And also if you can hear me okay. But yeah, so depending on how long you guys have been following me, I started off back in 2020 as just a channel that basically was just trying to copy what I saw everyone else doing because I really didn't know what else to do. I mean, I loved languages, so I just started talking about, oh, how do you explain this method to your audience? Or how do you learn this many languages? Okay, show yourself on screen talking in this many languages and whatnot. And, I saw a little bit of traction with that, but I really wasn't taking anything seriously at the time. And then I had stepped away from YouTube for a while, came back, and I still was getting more into the realm of my personal progress updates. I really admired, I think her name is Abigail from Polyglot Progress. I really loved her videos. So I thought, well, maybe sharing my progress would be interesting. Don't mind me either. I'm like looking back and forth between my webcam and the chat. So that's what I'm doing here. But hi Ayrton. Yes. I'm so excited to see you again. You had such a great question for me. I think it was like the last time that I streamed like back in October. So I'm glad that you are here again with me. Um you haven't explored away. But oh yeah, and from DC. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. Learning Persian. Yes, Persian is definitely on my list. I cannot get to it right now though, because I'm kind of delving into Asian languages right now, which is a whole nother journey in itself. So yes, please feel free to drop any sort of comment, drop any sort of question, clarification for me as I kind of explain this because, um, we had been going through where I was kind of developing into. So I basically saw a lot of these polyglot creators that I really liked. But I felt empty. Like I felt like there was so much more to talk about that I wanted to talk about, but then I just couldn't get it out of myself at the time. I couldn't process what I was really feeling. And based on where my channel was going, we're going to get into a lot of that with how to process our emotions and everything with language learning. But I it took at least like a year and a half to really figure out what direction was right for me with the channel. I was actually named My Language Paradise, which was a name that just fell out of the sky, but I was like, language, okay. Paradise, I feel like I'm in paradise when I'm learning languages, so why not? And then I made this other video, which you guys can still check out. I haven't made it private, but it was basically explaining why I was changing my language travel paradise my language paradise name to Language Travel Adoptee and why that was so significant for me because I started to realize just with processing my adoption and how language learning played into being a heritage language learner, really exploring that and thinking about, well, I think that this is meaningful to me. Not sure how my audience will find it though. So that's when I started expanding more into that, having that brand name, etc. And then I thought about, all of the psychological changes that we go through as language learners that I just felt so alone in because I did not see anyone else creating that content at all. Um, and oh yes, thank you. Thank you, Ayrton. Love your lives. I love you guys being here too with me. Hopefully I'm gonna get to do them more consistently this year. But yeah, so it's like, um yes, I'm looking at this question now. Um, how much does it take for a beginner to learn a new language? How many hours a day is needed if you want B2 level in a year? Yeah, so we're gonna get back to that. I'm gonna kind of go through my explaining process with my channel, and then I'll kind of get into some of the questions. So feel free to keep on leaving questions down. But basically, I thought about, not all language learners will be ready for this because it took me personally like almost a decade to be ready for what I'm wanting to share with you guys, which is essentially going from how do I learn a language? What does this method mean? What is comprehensible input? That kind of thing. Going from how to learn a language, and I'm shifting it to how to function as a human with our emotions behind languages. And I feel like, it won't be for every language learner just because we, as really with a lot of our broader cultures and everything, I mean, we are encouraged to not really listen to our emotions, or we only perceive one big emotion. I know that we all have felt overwhelmed in language learning, right? But we don't see any other emotion behind it that can help us gain clarity out of feeling stuck and overwhelmed. So this is really just like, again, a big experiment for me this year, but I know that is where my channel is heading, which is really, not talking about, okay, do this and this and this step by step to learn a language. For example, with one of our comments, getting to that certain level in a year or less. Yes, this did happen to me, but I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly how that's going to show up for you because again, we underestimate how much our emotions play into our language learning. I think some of us want to deny how much it plays into our language learning, or we just want to get rid of it just because it doesn't feel good, right? And we just want to have this method work for us or have this organization planner work for us, right? And it's totally understandable. I don't think that those methods are unreasonable either. Like they're totally the foundation or part of the foundation of language learning, right? To really know, okay, what methods are out there, what resources are out there, but there is way too overvalue, like we're overvaluing them in our learning, and that is what is getting us stuck. So I've done so much and just been so extremely happy about different research that I've been doing in psychology, in linguistics, and sociology, also a lot in neuroscience related to our emotions and language learning. And I think when I really sit down with it, I still have to figure out, how is the best way to share that with you guys because there are a lot of big ideas. And I've already made 2 videos that are coming up probably in the next 2 weeks about, more of the psychological mental blocks in language learning that we may not have considered, or maybe we have, but we didn't go beyond, the surface level of, considering what may be blocking us in our studies, right? So I'm introducing those ideas really slowly and seeing how you guys will react to it, basically. But yeah, Ayrton, I really appreciate how open you are with us. It helps my reflecting on my own life so much as well. Yes, thank you so much. Also, with that, thank you guys so much for any feedback that you have given me. Constructive feedback, I've gotten that, but also just really reassuring feedback that what I'm actually doing is mattering to you. Because with these big ideas that really have not, especially on YouTube, I've heard some podcasts do this, but especially on YouTube with the direction I'm going, more with the psychological um, confidence, uh, really deep thinking subjects that the YouTube community, as I know it in language learning, has not seen yet. It's really reassuring to know that there are still people that are open to what I'm sharing, whether that be through my Confidence Reset series or just through what I'm going to make, coming up in the next few weeks in my long form content. So thank you for all of that reassurance as well. Thank you guys as well if you follow me on Twitter or if you've messaged me there and you tell me that the Confidence Reset series is really helping you, because I know those videos don't give, or they don't get as much like coverage. They don't get as much reach and engagement. But I keep on getting really good comments under them that say, I'm happy. There was one video that said, they were having a bad day in language learning. What do we do about it? I have to re-upload that because there were tons of glitches. So don't feel worried if you haven't seen it yet. I'm going to re-upload it when I have time in February. But essentially, they were saying, "Wow, this came out the the exact right time. Like you uploaded it at the exact right time. It spoke to exactly what I was feeling." And that's really the direction that I want to go in, is how are we actually feeling about all of this? And how can we go deeper ultimately to get more language confidence? Because I think with language learners too, we at this point, right? I really love working with language learners who've been doing languages for years, right? At least a year, and they're probably learning several. And we know, the foundation for language strategies and whatnot. But there's nothing much after that, right? And especially as an adult with priorities, but we also have our own traumas, right? You've seen that with me when I talk about my learning my heritage language. They come up in so many disguised ways. We think this is what is going on, but this is actually what's going on. And as I'm going to talk about in some of my next videos, I mean, there's just so much psychologically that we suppress that I think we need to bring it to the surface gradually and gently, in order to get some more perspective on where we're going in language learning. Why do we have the goals that we really have? What is not only our motivation, right? Because we think that, oh, we have to have motivation to keep on going. We have to know our intrinsic motivation, right? Which is greatly linked to, more of the flow state that we really get into as language learners, really being disconnected with time, really concentrating on your task. Your productivity is super, super high, right? But we have to cognitively understand that, right? And consciously be aware of all the moving parts with our emotions and learning. So again, thank you for the reassurance for that. I'm going to kind of go in between all of my my notes, because I had to do notes with this. I did not want to go at you guys and then just tell you everything and make everyone be confused. Hi, Guven. Nice to see ya. Yes, welcome, welcome. Um, yeah, so exactly. So that's where I'm going with the channel. Now I am going to be using more names that are, I guess, more clickable, like, what I usually see with the language learning niche, right? 5 things to help you learn languages better, or 5 mistakes you're making, etc. But I'm going to be interspersing mainly the mindset, right, of language learning, because that is your make or break. Honestly, that is your make or break. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to go through that too much, because you're going to hear a lot of it in the coming weeks. But that's basically where I'm going. So please let me know in the chat what you think about that, if you would be open to that, and if there's anything on your mind that has to do specifically with our feelings, with our emotions, and language learning. I'm always looking for new ideas. So feel free to pop them in the chat, or also just comment on video on the community feed anytime you really have a question about what you're feeling. Yeah. So, anyways, I did want to also mention for you guys, yes, I want to know everything. Awesome, Ireton. I'm so glad. I am so glad you are in for a treat. I also, anyone who is watching this live who is not open to this kind of way of looking at language learning, I do suggest that you unsubscribe, right? Because I know a lot of people found me through my German resources video, my Turkish resources video, and my Italian resources video are also getting traction. And those were made last year when I was really thinking about, okay, like how do I play into the algorithm a little bit more, get me in search? And yeah, so it worked, but it's not the direction that I'm going, right? And I know some people were wondering, you know, what videos do you have right now in terms of language learning? Okay, what is your point of doing all these videos? And I was like, well, it's to really show, how do we gain confidence as language learners by being more of our authentic selves and understanding that deeply, which includes understanding our emotions. Well, your videos don't look like that at all. So I was like, yeah, that's true. They don't. And, so I might still make, a video for all of my best resources for French, for example. Again, they're really searchable. But that is not what I'm doing here. So if you found me through, a German video, or that one German resources video, and you don't resonate with what I'm doing here, I really do suggest you unsubscribe, because the people and the language learners that my content is going to be right for, I'm going all in. So, yeah, and yeah, and as I said, maybe I'll make another resources video, but it's definitely low on my priority list. So don't expect it really within the next few months, to be honest. Um, Yes. I totally agree that the emotional aspect is the biggest one in language learning for me, and fate led me here. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ayrton. Yeah, it's gosh. I and it's just like we're still I still see so many videos that say, okay, you just got to consume the language. You just got to know how much comprehensible input you're going to do today. What tracker are you going to use? Oh, I'm going to show you my routine, right? And by the way, I did create a video back in November that's going to show you like my low energy routine for language learning. That was back last year, though, when my personal circumstances were different. So my learning routine is going to be different now. But basically showing you my routine because I know that we like to get insight from other people's routines and just apply it to our own. But, um, we got to go a lot deeper for that. Right. And I know that we talk about, feeling confident sometimes in certain aspects of language or between different languages. And then we go back to feeling, oh, I feel stuck and I don't know what to do. And there's always a reason for that. And it goes a lot deeper than we think. So, yeah. Um, Let me read the comments. I really think that your videos are so high quality that some people don't get it. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I thank you for your reassurance there because I do sometimes wonder, what else can I do production wise? But I really think the coming at it from a different angle and just really being more of myself. That's what I say too, right? One of my favorite quotes is to get more of what you want, be more of who you are. And I'm following my own advice here, not only in language learning, but also like in what I'm doing here with this channel. So makes me really light up. It also makes me really fatigued because I'm just fatigued by my own thoughts all the time with all of this. But I really appreciate it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like some people just won't get it. Like I know some language learners, like they're just not in the stage of their awareness and their relation to language learning and being open to different ideas about how to solve, how they feel in language learning, like what negative feelings are there. So I totally understand if people are still wanting that. Okay, how do I reach B2 in a year? Because people are still creating content for that, and it's always going to have a space. Especially with AI coming on, it's always going to have a space here in the community. So that's fine. But I know that there are guys. There are people out there just like me who really need the deep dive into emotions and really understanding them. Um, I hope you are part of a new wave of language learning content. Glad you are leading the way on YouTube. I really hope so. Yeah. You know what? I see so many young language learners, and not that I'm not young, right? I'm still in my 20s, but I still see a lot of these really, really young polyglots online. And I wonder, once they get more life experience, I do wonder how their reflections are going to change. I do wonder as we grow older, like all of us through social media, because again, like social media hasn't been around super, super long. So we're going to gradually see, YouTubers quitting. I've seen that before, and retiring essentially from what they're doing online. We're going to see people as they evolve even more. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the language community changes. um, Again, what I'm talking about, like the people aren't clicking on it yet, but I do think with time and with more people being inspired by language learning, the more time they spend with it, the more time that they're going to understand, okay, my emotions are getting in the way. What do I do about it? How do I function as a human? um, so yeah, I have a lot of hope there, but I'm also just kind of nervous. So thank you guys for being with me. Um, I've been following you since that video on Julia's channel. Yeah, yes, I enjoyed making that video so much with her. Definitely, if you guys know Turkish, then definitely go to what was it? I mean, it's going to be in Turkish, but Julia'nın Cene Çalma projesi? I think that's what her channel is. I'm not sure. I need to really link like all of my collaborations and other videos on my actual channel in a playlist so it's easier for you guys to find it. Um, yes, welcome T. So I struggled with writing at school in my native language, and now I'm seeing how much I have avoided writing in my target language and having a huge skills gap. Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. Man, we always use the word struggled. Um, Writing at school in my native language, and now I'm seeing how much I've avoided writing. Yeah, and you know what? I bet it goes even deeper into why you struggled. Because that's really what we see, right? We are drawn to our emotional experiences. Our memories are affected by our emotional experiences, including when they are super negative feeling, right? They leave us with so many things to cover up basically as we try to move forward with goals, but then we feel held back by what happened in our past, right? So again, really, really breaking down, especially what we, for example, went through with school with what T said in the chat here. Um, Again, with that avoidance in writing. Hey, you know what, T? I just finished editing a video that is talking about, are you learning languages because you are playing to win, or are you learning languages because of your avoidance of failure? And again, it's a really sneaky sort of psychological trap that language learners fall into time and time again. Or they've just been running with that, avoidance of failure in the background for this whole time, and they haven't even really understood what that meant, or understood how impactful it is on their language learning journey. So look for that video. I think it's in my 5 dire mistakes that self-study language learners make, which you guys can probably check out, if you're watching a replay of the live and everything. Um, yeah, so important. Ireton said, my views on language learning have definitely changed with time and experiences. So great to see your journey. Yes, thanks, Ireton. You know what? I'm wondering if like how much I should share of my personal language learning journey, if it's not an antidote or serving as an example for the more psychological and emotional aspects that I'm trying to present to you in my direction of my videos, that with the new direction that they're taking. So I appreciate um, I appreciate that, and I'm glad that we're on the same wavelength here. Um, yes, so excuse me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but Summit, um, I will not be doing free English resources just because that is not the direction of my channel. Again, if you are only looking for, resources videos, that's all great. There are a lot of other creators who will make those. Those are so low on my priority list right now that any resource video that I make, as I said, sort of earlier in our chat, those are definitely going to take at least a few months to come out, if not more. So can't make any promises on those. I know you guys like them, but again, we're changing the vibe here. Hello, yes, Joshua, nice to see you. I'm so glad you're showing up. Summit, yes, you are so welcome. Yeah, so keep on engaging in the chat. Thank you guys so much. And I wanted to actually tell you guys about what was it? About the 2 memberships that I am hosting right here because I know, um, especially with my membership on my channel, I just wanted to let you guys know if there is, if you are called, right? You're not obligated to, but I do have a lot of pre-planned videos, and I thought that that would be a really good thing, like just an extra perk that you guys could get if you wanted to become channel members. I would say, priority to comments, extra you get an extra preview to videos. You get to watch them before I publish them, as well as shout outs in my videos whenever you are members. Those are going to be in the first tier. And then in the second tier, I actually host, you get all of what you get in the first tier for my YouTube membership. And then you also get access to my co-study slash sort of co-networking study sessions that are every Monday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they are totally drop-in, they're not recorded, but we have a really good community there. And it's actually a blend of the more public community mixed with the members of my coaching sort of program community that I host as well. That is still on the wait list because I'm still developing it. But I thought it's a nice way to bring people together. Of course, you can bring any sort of study material that you like, but you can also have the opportunity to take study breaks with us and also just kind of get to know other language learners who are more self-compassionate focused. They're more mindset and mindfulness focused. And they get stuff done. So I've had a lot of really good conversations with them and with their language learning. So that's definitely open for you guys whenever you want to join us. That is a great benefit of the second tier on my channel. And I also am hosting at least like 5 or 6 in-depth workshops that do deal with, how do we, one of them is going to definitely be on perfectionism and ambition and how to get perfectionism and ambition to work for us, because I think we have all had some sort of feeling like my ambition is taking me to places that I did not want to go. Like I feel so overwhelmed right now. I don't feel fulfilled with what I'm doing. Why did I, pick this language? Why did my ambition drive me to burn myself out? That kind of thing. So that's going to be the first workshop that I'm going to host that I am currently in the process of. But as a second tier channel member, you do get a really nice discount off of those kinds of deep dive workshops. They always have more of a community aspect where you can really talk it out and workshop what you're thinking and really find solutions tailored, especially to you, for those workshops. I know with what I'm going to do with my content, it's going to be advice applied to everyone, but it is like even more reassuring and fulfilling when you can actually get in that space with me for a workshop and delve into your own personal feelings and have me tailor exactly what I'm going to say to you in those. So that is a great, that is a great thing. And then let me go down here. I'm going to check in with you guys again in the chat a little bit later, but I did want to say as well, um, sort of my motivation for changing my channel direction, because I know that, gosh, I don't know. I mean, there's so much that we could all say, I'm sure, about our opinion about AI. I swear to you. So I watch Colin and Samir, who are, they're YouTube content creators. They invite a lot of people to chat with them who are successful content creators online. So I like watching them sometimes. I saw a reel that was about 3 days ago, and Colin, I totally fell for it. Like Colin was speaking in 3 languages. He was speaking in English, he was speaking perfectly in European Spanish, and then he was also speaking what sounded like really fluent in Japanese. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that he knew those 3 languages. Like, why is he posting this? He's a content creator channel, not a YouTube channel, or a language YouTube channel. And then he's like, oh no, this is just a new app where you can deep fake your voice and have your lips like sync to whatever the AI is saying, whatever you want to say, like in another language. So it basically looks like a Polyglot Speaks 10 Languages video, but you can deep fake your sync with your lips, and then the technology will make it sound like you with whatever language you're talking in. Now, I will say that's really cool if you ever wanted to experiment with like, what do I sound like in Japanese? um, but overall, I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm not sure about that. Let me know what your thoughts are about that in the chat too, because it's really interesting where AI is going to take us. And I'm just talking about in the language learning niche. Of course, there are going to be benefits for, especially with medicine. Like, I can't imagine the benefits that are going to come with that. But in the language learning niche, and the fact that we're not really thinking about any sort of like boundaries until it's affected us to a pretty negative point, I think. Even though there are good sides to it, I was thinking about that whole thing and just being made aware of this new AI that's doing that with our voices. I'm like, you know what? And this is, I don't know if you guys have read Homo Sapiens. It's a really good book. Let me look at let's see. Yeah, let me look it up. It's called Sapiens: A Brief History of Mankind. So that is a really good book. I haven't read all of it through, but I did read parts of it. And one thing that really stood out to me was the fact of, you know, with all of our technology, even up to now that we've built into our lives, like we think that it's a necessity, even when it totally is not for us, but we have been habituated. We don't even know what it was like before, all this technology. Depending on how old you are, some people will. I still remember when we didn't have phones, but now, even though I did know how it felt to not have phones, now I can't imagine my life without a phone. And because we all engage in this kind of technology, like it feels like a necessity because everyone has it, everyone is using it, and they're going to make it, using technology is always like a one thing that they use for determining jobs. So it's like, if I think about language learning, and especially with the development and all of the fields, and knowing the main want of language learners, especially when we are influenced by how can you become fluent faster, how can I learn this more efficiently, like I would say for where we are now, we're all just kind of creeping into it. But I know that AI is going to get so big that we're gonna kinda, especially for the new generations, right? Who didn't know, like, they really didn't know in their soul how it is to live without AI, right? My kids are not going to know how a world was before we started using AI, and they're also not gonna know the how it really feels to learn a language like we're doing right now, right? Like, with all of the stressors and the wonderful moments and all the meaning that we built into our language learning process, um, they just won't know that because they weren't born into that, and they won't really, probably even as kids, right? We're not really motivated to really think hard and, well, not think hard, but really find meaning, right? We have to reach a certain level to a certain life experiences and awareness to really want to dig deeper and see, okay, what's behind all of this. Um, so those were also my feelings about it, was like what I'm talking about on my channel with emotions, humans can do anything that they want with AI, and our emotions will still be there. But I think that our emotions are going to be even more covered up by where technology in general is heading, especially with our wants. Like, advertisers know our wants, and we're going to be overall, not everyone, right? But I feel like we're overall, as a larger society who uses the internet, um, is going to be way less out of touch with what our emotional intelligence can tell us, right? Because no matter, right, what AI does, I always see the argument of, well, but they're not human. And this is our human side, you guys. This is the emotional human side that we don't like to look at because we, it's hard to face ourselves sometimes. But I think it's just going to be more covered up with the more development of technology. And that makes me really sad. I'm also, excited to see where it goes, but overall I'm just very sad. And that's also why I want to change where this channel is headed, because there really needs to be more representation of our emotions and how they can actually help us thrive in language learning find that success, find that confidence way more than any other, bot that's programmed, um, or any sort of method really can once you're aware of them. So that was kind of my rant for that. Thank you, Joshua. So yeah, really good question. I'm also seeing, yeah, I can be an internet polyglot too. Yeah, I mean, honestly, anyone can. Like, and I'm saying that from a technology standpoint. Like, literally, anyone could use any sort of, um, I what am I trying to say? Like, anyone can use that technology and then just call them things. Um, and we totally discount like, okay, but what about all the stories that really added meaning to us and to our fulfillment as human beings? Yeah, makes me sad, you guys. Makes me sad. Not to get too depressing here, but really good question we had from Spanish Blueprints here as well. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna answer your question first before I kind of go into deeper into this. So, what is difficult about coaching learners? Thank you as well for your donation, your super chat, by the way. But I think mm, finding the right way and the right pace to relay all of your wonderful knowledge to someone who wants it. Like, I mean, that's still what I'm finding, trying to find out with my channel. I and it's hard to trust my intuition in that way, which is also really interesting because trusting your intuition too, I mean, the more that we layer on and kind of block our intuition and just keep on looking for external answers outside ourselves, the more that we block our intuition, right? And so, and the more that, right, those feelings of self-doubt and, um, really being skeptical of your own abilities, imposter syndrome, like they can really block out again your intuition. So I really have to be in my area of intuition and knowing what's right in order to be like feel ready for a coaching session with one of my clients. Um and yeah, I just have to be in a calm state of mind. And, once I get into the flow, then it's okay. But I think meeting people where they are and really finding out where exactly they are, right? Because people can say a lot of things, but it's up to you as a coach to really think about, okay, um, what does this person actually really need versus what they want? It's a really good question. Do you think it's possible to learn from scratch two languages at the same time? Yes, definitely possible. Russian and Turkish? Yes, definitely, um, for sure. I know that's a very, like like, cut and dry answer. Um, yes, technically it is, but again, if we're thinking about our emotions, and what your relationship is to both of those languages, what your relationship has been maybe to the past, with language learning. I mean, we can get so in our heads about what did we do wrong in the past, right? Um, that really needs to be discussed along with, oh, can I learn this at the same time, right? Because it's going to be different for um, everyone, and it really goes deeper than we start to think about on the surface level, right? Um, I think especially with what happened to me at the very beginning of my language learning journey, I had such a huge self-esteem boost, and that ultimately led me down a very unenjoyable language learning journey for really a few years, um, after learning 2 languages at the same time. So even though we go into, 2 languages feeling really motivated, feeling really enlightened, still it's like, it's important to be conscious about what we're feeling, what we're doing, how we are interpreting the confidence that we're getting from learning a new language, because that can really affect us negatively, positively, a lot of in between if we're not conscious really of, what's going on emotionally within us during that process. Because we're gonna still face problems later in our language journeys. I'm guessing all of you guys are gonna keep languages in your lives for long term. So that's always what I want to remind language learners of, is just be really mindful about what you're feeling, um, And along with, exploring all of the techniques, right? Being curious about where you're going when you're learning, several languages at the same time, totally possible. But really pay attention to what you're feeling so you don't have to ruminate and feel like, "Ugh, like I don't know what happened," right? When you really pay attention to your emotions, at least check in with yourself emotionally every now and then. I would say like hopefully weekly. Um, Even though I know it's easy to get blown away by just, your to-do list and feeling that confidence within yourself. Like you just want to keep on going and going and going. Um, but again, coming from me may lead you to problems in the future if you don't check in with yourself emotionally every now and then. So that's what I'd say to that. Um, yeah. So thank you guys for your great questions. I'm going to kind of go back to what I was talking about as well. Yeah. So basically, with AI and everything, and I know where it's going, that's why I'm even more infused with what I'm doing. Yeah. With why I really believe in my heart that what I'm talking about is important, the way that I'm talking about it in the language learning niche. So again, thank you guys for being here. Yeah. And so, okay. So kind of looking through my notes, yeah, overall, really on this channel, how would I summarize it? Yes, we are wanting the confidence, right? We're taking care of our um, mental health, we're prioritizing our well being. And overall, I hope that, what we are doing as language learners, and I hope that what I week by week share with you guys about all of this. Yeah, I really just want to reinforce like emotional intelligence is so much more an indicator of being a successful language learner than analytical intelligence is, and we prioritize analytical intelligence, but it definitely can, I mean, that's what leads us to getting blocked, right? In so many ways. So I won't go too much into that because that's definitely a topic of a whole video, but that's what I really want to drive through. It seems counterintuitive, but I mean, truly, it has worked for me. It's gotten me in a great place with my language learning consistently, and it's gotten me in a great place with the language learners that I coach consistently. Um, yeah, mindset is everything. Mindset is everything, you guys. I also wanted to update you guys that because you guys like confidence reset, originally I was going to just end it because again, like they don't have as much engagement and reach. Um, but since I got really positive feedback with you guys on the yeah, just really the utility of those videos, I'm going to keep on publishing them. I know that a lot of my descriptions are going to say, okay, this is going to be published from Monday to Thursday. I'm not going to do that anymore. That was a little bit of an experiment with my energy level back in December when I had time to devote to that. But I know I'm going to get seriously burned out with that. So basically, what's going to happen is there will be, a confidence reset video probably, uh, I would say at least like once a week. The max that I'm going to be uploading this year is going to be 3 times a week. So if anything, it's going to be one confidence reset video that's a little bit shorter, and then one video that's going to be long form. It's going to be more edited, and I'll have my ideas a lot more scripted for that. And it'll go right more into the psychological aspects and really getting you guys to think more deeply about those concepts. Whereas in confidence reset, it's really addressing, how can I give you a little bit of encouragement, right? I would say every single time that you tune into those episodes when you need it, and just make like a really nice playlist for that for you guys when you are feeling down in your language learning. So that's pretty much what's going to be going on. So just ignore when I said Monday through Thursday because yeah, that's way too much. But yeah, I will be back to uploading just 2 times a week, and really excited with what I'm bringing to you guys too. Um, so yeah, so that is that. Those, I would say, those are the main things that I wanted to go over through in this live. Feel free because I'm gonna address some more questions too here. Tatsächlich, niemand wird im ermutigt, das Sprachenlernen zur Selbstentwicklung zu nutzen. Aha, genau, Timothy. We are so glad you're here. Adam, we're so glad you're here. Definitely let me know any questions or other comments you have. Genau, die Wirkung der Emotionen auf das Sprachenlernen wird zu selten diskutiert. Genau, so he was just saying, yeah, emotions and the role that they play in language learning is not spoken about enough. Agreed. Analytical versus emotional intelligence. Wow, I've never thought about it before. I'd love to hear more about this topic. Yay, Joshua! I'm glad that that makes you curious. Actually, what if that was a really good YouTube video, you guys? Like, I'm trying to think of like a clickable title, like, why why gosh, I think of titles and then I'm just like, okay, how do I get them under 100 characters? I don't know if you guys have seen it from my YouTube videos, and I probably just edit it so that it's not as noticeable, but I can just ramble on and on about a subject and be super wordy about it too. Maybe you've noticed that in the live here, but definitely it's so interesting. Analytical versus emotional intelligence. Yeah, because it's it's so frustrating to me because I just think about my little language learning self almost a decade ago who was just so in love with resources and so in love with memorizing vocabulary words, so in love with planning and wondering whenever my emotions felt like they were getting in the way of that, why I decided that I would still keep going down a rabbit hole of looking at the best resources, looking at, thinking about everything as a system, right? Thinking that, oh, everything has to have an immediate solution, right? That is our analytical intelligence talking. And it totally blocks out how we're doing as human beings, right? Our emotional function is just so important, and we can get so in our heads about that kind of thing. And yeah, yeah. So definitely tune into my next, especially the long form videos. I do want you to tune into the confidence reset as well. Um, but yeah. Even it could be a master's thesis. Yeah, that's right, Guven. It really could. I mean, maybe that's what I'm gonna get a master's for. I was like, what can I do in my I if I want to go back to school, what would I actually do? I feel like this would be maybe like sociolinguistics, um, psycholinguistics. Uh yeah, it's hard to figure out, but I really like this discussion, and I'm actually going. I don't know if any of you guys are going to the Polyglot Gathering, I think it is. I always get the Polyglot Gathering and the Polyglot Conference super mixed up. I've never been to a language conference in person before. Also, they also have just polyglot in the name. So I'm just like, I don't know which one it is, but it's the one that's coming up in May. I think from 15th to 19th of May in Prague, the Czech Republic, and I'm so looking forward to that. And actually, I think that would be a really good talk to kind of give to people, no matter where they are in their language journey, right? I really want to, I like prioritizing the information. I think that language learners who have been learning languages for a little bit, right? They're probably learning multiple ones. I like prioritizing giving that info to that kind of audience. However, I think that the benefits, right, of analytical versus emotional intelligence and everything, that would be really good. So thank you guys for spontaneously brainstorming with me on that. And yeah, I think with this, definitely let me know in the chat if you have any more like last questions. But yeah, that's basically where I wanted to go with this live stream today, because it just bothered me, I guess, that I am starting to change it up a little bit on my channel. And then I'm not really letting you guys know exactly what's going on, and what my sort of line of thought is going into where I'm heading with the channel. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate you guys just showing up. Thank you for all of your nice comments. It's really reassuring. I know that especially my program that I am developing in the back end of what I'm doing with YouTube, that is exactly what we work on with I call it the Mindful Multilinguals Collective, but it's basically an ongoing coaching community, not just a community where, yes, you do meet up weekly live. So you can talk about your struggles, so you can encourage your wins and really get peer mentoring on what your struggles are, as well as a little bit of light coaching from me every single Sunday. So you always have that to look forward to, and you can tell, what you did from week to week. Because I know as language learners and as adults, right, we get just so caught up in what we need to do, we forget what we did like even 2 days ago. So it's nice to have those milestones, like checkpoints with yourself on your language learning journey, right? Again, we need the most support in the process, even though our cultures like to celebrate both the beginning or the end of a process, right? But we really do need the most support in the in between of the process. Language learning. So that's why I made that for that. And I also really deep dive extensively into such topics of emotions and language learning every month. And I usually have a little bit of what I call a challenge. It's not a language challenge per se. I feel like you can get those anywhere, but it's basically a challenge that warms you up for whatever topic we're talking about. So, for example, with this month, I'm giving I did say I'm going to host a public workshop soon on perfectionism and getting ambition to work for you in your languages instead of just being overwhelmed by them. But, I am also hosting, like, the deep, deep dive into that topic, getting those members the exact results that they need according to their personality type, right? Um, in that, it's actually diffused over a few sessions, but really, like, this month, I think even next week it's happening, getting them those results, and then we're gonna be diving in more into, um, a lot of my research that I've, again, done a lot on neuroscience, and psychology and how we can relate that to language learning, and really get the lifelong confidence that we need to maintain momentum on our journey and make sure that it's joyful for us, right? Not just happy, right? Like, joyful. And I'm gonna be talking actually a little bit more about the significance, right, between joy and happiness too. There's a little bit of philosophy too, and I think in what direction I'm going in as well. So be prepared for that. I'm gonna, like, break it down gradually. Um, Yes, so excited for the new direction. Thanks for filling us in. Yes, thank you for the stream. Thanks for motivating us. Thank you. Yes, you guys, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Hopefully, I will be back. In fact, I know I will be back at least once in February, so look for that notification on my feed in the community feed on YouTube. And I will see you guys later in another video that is coming out next week. Okay? All right, you guys. See you and take care. Happy language learning this week.